Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Locks Don't Lie weekend preview show. I am your host, Tony Betts. Before we get to Tony Nascar and Tony NFL, why don't we go over the betting weekend that was? It was a great weekend for the Locks Don't Lie weekend preview show, as you guys got Josh Berry on Saturday morning live on Twitter, 10-1, 16.5-1. Josh Berry coming through cashing with a super lucky restart right here to end the race, and he just drove away from there. Josh Berry cashing home the ticket for us and advancing himself into the championship four as we kept that momentum going all Saturday, and we continued again one of our best college football Saturdays. Wasn't quite last week, but a great college football Saturday once again, as we finished 19-8-1 plus 6.82 units on the college football week. What a week 7 in college football, and I can just feel the regression coming. We kept the momentum going into the NFL with another great NFL week as we hit our bet of the year and finished positive on the weekend overall, 39-34-2 plus 12 units on the weekend. Just a great unit overall, and Ross Chastain almost cashed for us, as you can see right here. Just got passed with 3 to go by Joey Logano, who was on 14-lap fresher tires. Not much you can do about that. The only reason he was on those fresher tires is because they made a pit lane mistake, came down under another caution to top off on fuel, get some fresh tires. Fortunately, Joey Logano in the championship four for our 6 championship futures. Not one of those 6. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, the only 2 drivers that we don't have a championship bet on. And now our Phoenix just got a little bit more nervous and sweaty than it had to. But we'll quit patting ourselves on the back here. Enough of that. No one cares about last weekend. It's time to move on to this weekend and find the new winners. With that, it's another chance for Tony Nascar. Step on in here, Tony Nascar. It was a great weekend last week as you previewed Josh Berry, and Ross Chastain almost brought it home for you. Couldn't bring home the weekend sweep, unfortunately, but let's see if you can keep it up this week as we have a triple header.
They don't want me, man, so they watching me. Different color bands like Monopoly.
In NASCAR action, Tony. The Baptist Healthcare 200 for the Truck Series. The Contender Boats 300 in the Xfinity Series, both running on Saturday. Double header there. And then we got the Dixie Vodka 400 in the Cup Series. Tony, go ahead and preview the trucks for us. Yeah, Tony, we have an exciting triple header of NASCAR action this weekend down at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
9 TV right here on 305hiphop.com. It's that little Chico Pitbull, Mr. 305, point it down. Latino pa'lante pa arriba, que no le guste que se vaya pa la ping.
Let's go over the Truck Series race real quick, as the Truck Series boys haven't been around for a while, and they're coming to Homestead to narrow themselves down to the championship four for Phoenix. That's going to be an incredible race, because if you look at these points right here, Tony, I mean, they are stacked up right here. Bottom 5, separated by 5 cars. 5 points separate these 5 drivers right here. And these 5 have been on top of each other all season long. It is going to be very, very exciting to see the Truck Series race this weekend. And if you take a look at the odds behind me, the name that you have to take a look at is John Hunter Nemechek up here near the top. I hate talking about favorites, and I've been fading the favorites kind of this year in the Truck Series, but John Hunter Nemechek is dominant at this track. And we just saw in those points, John Hunter Nemechek right there, 5 points behind the cut line. John Hunter Nemechek, in his mind, thinks that he needs to win to get into Homestead. He's coming into Homestead to win, and he completely dominated the race earlier this year at Kansas, leading 88 of 134 laps. Tony, that is the most like track that the Truck Series have raced at this year that's comparable to Homestead. Other tracks I looked at this year across the 3 series to gather my data points were Charlotte, Las Vegas, and of course the most important, Darlington. Darlington did not come into effect for the Truck Series since we don't race Darlington in the Truck Series, Tony. Is that it for you, Tony? Just John Hunter Nemechek, the favorite, or do you have anybody else in the trucks? Well, I mean, John Hunter might not be my only pick, Tony. If you want to look down the list, I like the 2 Smiths here, Zane and Chandler Smith. I mean, Chandler Smith is in the exact same equipment in that 18 car Kyle Busch Motorsports. Zane Smith has been fast all season long. You have to look for him to be up front as well. Then another co-favorite right here, Ryan Preece. The books are respecting that 17 car this week, and I like putting a little bit of money down on Ryan Preece this week. Finished in the top 5 at both Kansas and Vegas earlier this year. Like tracks, Tony? We'll take a little bit of Ryan Preece as well. Well, that makes sense, Tony, for the Truck Series. Why don't you go ahead and move on to the Xfinity Series for us? Sure, Tony, the Xfinity Series, we're moving on to another race in the playoffs with the Xfinity Series. And if you look at the points behind me right here, you can see that now these bottom 4 drivers are shaking in their boots because Josh Berry won last week at Las Vegas, advanced himself into the championship 4 at Phoenix, and completely shook up the points. All of these guys believe that they need a win. All of these guys are going into the next couple races thinking that they have to win to get to Phoenix and win a championship. That is going to make for some incredible strategy calls. And when you look at the odds behind me, you can see kind of the same odds as last week. Noah Gragson plus 230, Ty Gibbs plus 300, and the books have caught up to us. The books have caught up to the scheme. Noah Gragson is a Cup Series talent racing in the Xfinity Series, and they're done giving us free money on Noah Gragson with only 3 races left in his Xfinity career. They should have caught up a little bit sooner. Noah has been so good at these type of tracks, dominating the race at Darlington earlier this year and barely cashing us that outright ticket with that electric final lap. And speaking of Darlington, a long shot that I like down the board, Tony, 30-1 Sheldon Creed. He was 50-1 at Darlington and almost stole it from us, like I said there, but him and Larson just ran into some issues, and Noah luckily cashed. Sheldon Creed should have won at Darlington, and Sheldon Creed at 30-1 is definitely worth a sprinkle, but the driver I really, truly want to highlight this week for the Xfinity Series, Tony, is Brandon Jones at 15-1. Brandon Jones, as you can see here, is below the cut line, and he's coming into each race with race-winning strategy and race-winning on his mind. I believe Brandon Jones is going to be running up front this week at Homestead. He has been on an incredible hot streak since announcing that he's moving to Junior Motorsports to replace Noah Gragson in the 9 car next year, since Noah's moving up to the Cup Series. Started 4th, finished 2nd here last year, and he has the 2nd best driver rating at Homestead behind all active drivers except for the Dinger, the Road Ringer, AJ Allmendinger. Give me Brandon Jones at 15-1 this week at Homestead to cash his ticket into Phoenix, Tony. Great stuff there, Tony, as always on the Xfinity Series. I'm going to take all of that into mind when I'm placing my bets this weekend. Go over the Cup Series for us before you go. Yeah, Tony, the Dixie Vodka 400, the Cup Series, Sunday night, 6 o'clock. It's going to be an incredible race. These boys are going to be riding around a credit card between their fenders and the wall. And with Joey Logano's win at Las Vegas, he advances himself into the championship 4. Unfortunately for us, as he is one of 2 drivers out of 8 here that we do not have a championship future on. So we already guaranteed to only have 3 out of the 4 drivers in Phoenix. We can only hope Denny Hamlin gets eliminated and we go in with 3 out of 4, because man, I was really hoping to just go in with 4 out of 4 and having a sweat-free Phoenix. But it's not Phoenix this week. It's Homestead. Let's pop up the odds behind me. And if you follow NASCAR, this is not a surprise to you. Tyler Reddick, plus 700, sharing the top with, like I just previously mentioned, Denny Hamlin. Tyler Reddick loves these style of tracks and loves riding the outside, just within a credit card of the outside wall. And that is the fastest line here at Homestead. You will see Tyler Reddick right up against that wall, as close as you can get it, running one of the best lines of anybody in the Cup Series up near that top wall. He's going to be fast this week. I do like Tyler Reddick at plus 700. Maybe you can wait, hope he has a bad practice and qualifying run so you can get some better value on that number, because there are some drivers that I like below 10-1 here that I want to highlight real quick for you, Tony. And that, first off, is going to be Christopher Bell right here. He got caught up in Bubba's mess last week and unfortunately didn't cash our outright ticket. And now when you look at the standings, Christopher Bell absolutely needs to win to get into the championship 4. Joe Gibbs has been one of the fastest teams in the last month and a half. I like Christopher Bell pre-practice, pre-qualifying, as he has been very good in practice and qualifying this year. Usually number getting lower than what it started out as. I love getting a little bit of Christopher Bell before practice and qualifying. And then another driver I want to highlight, and I hate talking about him every week because he hasn't cashed all playoffs, and I feel like I've said his name in every single video in the playoffs, and that's Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain here at 10-1 is very, very quick at these type of tracks. Like we highlighted last week, the high-speed mile-and-a-halfs, Ross Chastain is one of the fastest cars this year. I have to lay down a little bit on the 10-1, but if you don't like that 10-1, I would advise maybe waiting until after practice and qualifying on Ross Chastain, as he just hasn't been very good in practice and qualifying this year, Tony, and you've been able to find a lot of the weeks a better number on Ross Chastain after practice and qualifying is ran. Great information there. All stuff to take in before practice and qualifying this weekend. Thanks so much for coming by. As I say every week, Tony, our time is limited with the season coming to an end. Appreciate you stopping by this week. Let's end our season strong, as we're going to keep the show rolling, keep the ball moving. Moving on to Tony NFL. Tony NFL, step on in here. A couple positive weeks in a row. Let's see if we can make it 3 in a row. What do you got for week 7? Yeah, Tony, I haven't gone too crazy on the show, I feel like, but it might be a week you have to call me Tony Unders, because I love some of the totals on tap this week. Yeah, Tony, I'm sure you do like some of the totals this week. Tony Unders, go ahead. Yeah, short 21st game. Let's do AFC North battle up in Baltimore. Browns, Ravens. And when you take a look at this matchup, it should be all Ravens. I got the -6.5 and the under 45.5. The Browns are a bottom 3 rushing defense, while the Ravens are a top 3 rushing defense, and the advanced stats say it as well. The Ravens are 3rd in EPA per play, while the Browns defense is 31st in EPA per play. Ravens offense, 3rd in total DVOA. Browns defense, 31st in total DVOA. And when you narrow it down to the specific rushing advanced stats, the Ravens offense are 2nd in rush EPA, and the Browns defense dead last in rush EPA. And the Ravens are 3rd in rush DVOA, while the Browns defense are 31st in rush DVOA. Like I said, Tony, I will take the -6.5 and the under 45.5. Hope these boys aren't scoring, and hope the Ravens are controlling that clock through the entire game. All right, Tony, I'll let you slide with that one. Hopefully that's the only under. What else you got? I think you know which game I'm going for, Tony, here. The only game with a 3 in the total. Give me the under 38.5 in that Jets-Broncos game. And you know what? It's the ultimate buy low, sell high, ugly spot. We'll get super ugly, and we'll take the Broncos money line. This game was 7.5 in the early season look ahead, and while the Jets are much better than expected and the Broncos are much worse than expected, I like taking the Broncos here at the absolute bare bottom of their stock and selling the Jets, coming off of 2 straight underdog wins, including last week in Lambeau Field, a great win that really helped us in our underdog round robin last week. But hopefully the Broncos hack it and Russell Wilson can finally figure something out this week. And if it's not Russell Wilson, that might even help us out with this bet. So give me the money line. I'm probably going to be hating myself on Sunday, but one thing I'll never hate myself for is sweating out an under 38.5 in the NFL, Tony. Yeah, Tony, no thank you coming from me today. Get on out of here, and you better do better next week. I'm sick of this unders bullshit. Anyway, let's go ahead and just move right on into the official card. Completely put a damper on the show. If you guys enjoyed the show, somehow after that, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, give me a like. It really helps us in the algorithm. Otherwise, just move on to the lock list. As you can see, we got a stacked card for the weekend here. Let's go over our Friday picks. We've got Temple plus 13.5. We're diving into the dumpster and hoping we can find some cash with Temple. And then we got some big exposure here on UAB. Give me UAB plus 1.5. UAB money line at plus money. UAB over 58.5. And parlay that with the money line together. Parlay the UAB money line with Troy last night and UTEP tomorrow night. Give me that at 10-1. And parlay the UAB money line with Minnesota going into Penn Station in the whiteout game. That is going to be an awesome game. I love watching the Penn State whiteout game every single year. The fact that my beloved Golden Gophers are in it, let's be a homer and go in on the money line, parlay them with some plus money. See if the puppies are barking. Woo! Let's move on to our Saturday college football card, as we've got SMU +3, one of our favorite trends of the weekend and favorite games of the weekend. LSU -1.5. As you see the trend there, Brian Kelly, the most profitable coach as a short favorite or underdog in the last 20 years of college football. Give me Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers -1.5. I'll take the over 67 in Georgia Southern, Old Dominion. And then one of my favorite games of the weekend, Chip Kelly revenge game, UCLA, Oregon, the site of college game day. I'll take the over in what hopefully is a track meet, over 70.5. That's a big number, and I can't wait to sweat that out. Under 56.5 in Memphis, Tulane. And we got a couple double exposures here. Vanderbilt +14, +14.5 in Hawaii +6. The number moved against us when we originally took the +4, so we got Hawaii +4 and +6. You heard this bet earlier, UTEP +4, UTEP moneyline +155. I'll take South Carolina +3.5, ECU +5, and give me those Golden Gophers up in Minnesota in that whiteout game +5.5, and I'll take that money line +177. Let's go over our NASCAR picks for the weekend, as we have got a lot of picks this weekend. Hopefully we can cash some outrights to make this weekend profitable. 3 units on Saturday, 1.5 units in the truck, 1.5 units in the Xfinity. As you heard from Tony NASCAR earlier, we like John Hunter Nemechek this weekend at +350, and we'll also take Ryan Preece at +500 for half a unit. Then you can see we got Brandon Jones at 15-1, and also Sheldon Creed at 31-1. Should have won the Darlington race at 50-1. Let's see if Sheldon Creed can maybe cash home for us with a lucky underdog. Otherwise, we got 3 of our favorite drivers here in the Cup Series for outrights: Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, and Wild Bill Byron. All give me a full unit on those guys, 10, 12, and 14-1 respectively. Then you can see our big value bets here, as we are taking stock in some of the testing that was recently ran at Homestead. RFK was near the top of those standings, and they found speed. 75-1 is excellent value for the speed you saw in testing. You hate to put any stock in a test, but I'll take a little bit of the 75-1, and then I'll take some of their top 5, top 10, and top 3 odds, as I just don't think they caught up to what their true value is, or what it really could be after practice and qualifying. Hopefully we get some closing line value. Hopefully those RFK guys are just hanging out in the top 10 all race, and this is sweat-free. Otherwise, we're going to need an outright to cash to come out positive this weekend. Hopefully we can do that. Let's move on to our NFL Sunday, though. As you can see, we'll start off with the game that we highlighted earlier. We'll take the under 45.5 in the Browns-Ravens, and we'll also take the favorite there. Give me the Ravens -6.5. We got Atlanta +6.5, Detroit +7. Give me the Commanders +5, +5.5. I'll put 2 units on the under in the Carolina-Tampa Bay game. I'm not sure how these guys are getting to 40.5. Give me Jacksonville -3 against the Giants. I'll take the under 42.5 in Colts-Tennessee, another divisional matchup. Houston +7, and we got Denver moneyline -110, buying low on the Denver Broncos, selling high on the New York Jets. Tony NFL likes the under 38.5 as well in that game. We'll take the under. We got San Francisco +2, Seattle +6.5. And then the 2 primetime unders, under Monday Night Football, under Sunday Night Football. Let's move on to the 3 Tony teasers of the week. Unfortunately, there's only one available to place right now. Hopefully, you guys got them on Twitter last night before the game, as we have 2 teasers together with the Saints +8.5 that barely came through in the back door for us. We just need those favorites to come through in prime time for us on Sunday and Monday night. But there's a teaser you guys can put in right now, and that's going to be Miami and the Colts up over 8.5. Give me Miami through the 3 and the 7, Colts through the 3 and the 7 the other way. And then you can see here our 5-way round robin underdog parlay. Trying to go in on some of the underdogs. We hit 3 out of 6 last week, including the Jets, which really helped our week become positive. Hopefully we can hit one of these again. Maybe the Lions can get lucky for us. Maybe those Commanders can come in outright. That's going to wrap it up here for the Locks Don't Lie weekend preview show. I appreciate you guys stopping by for another episode. Good luck this weekend. May the winners be yours. Locks don't lie.